If you're watching this video, then you're most likely one of three people. A, currently transitioning and looking for any information you can to make the process easier. B, become restless with your relaxers and want to get some tips on how to grow your grass greener whenever you do go to the other side. Or C, a loyal lover of all things college curls, from our YouTube cartoons to our Instagram platform. Well, ladies and gents, no matter which one of these people you are, or if you found your way here and are none of these at all, you have come to the right and best place for the top 10 tips for transitioning to natural hair. In fact, these tips are so tip-top that even if you're already natural or fully relaxed, you'll likely still find something you can add to your hair care repertoire. How is this possible, you ask? Well, besides the fact that you came to the best place for your information, in order to properly take care of transitioning hair, you have to care for two textures, the fully natural and the fully relaxed. Granted, the natural is what we're more concerned with, but that doesn't change the fact that the relaxed hair is still there and reaping whatever benefits it can while on its last legs. But even with that in mind, these tips are still geared towards our transitioning beauties who very likely need the help considering all they have to contend with. So, without further ado, let's get into this video.
College girls.
Starting with tip number 1, you need to get used to moisturizing, and fast. I know this is something you've heard a million times before, transitioning or not, but trust me, there's a good reason for it, and one you'll love. And that reason is moisturized hair grows. Period. It just does. And when you're transitioning, that's definitely one of your top hair priorities. So it's only natural that moisturizing become one too. Not only for the growth you'll promote, but also because transitioning hair tends to be dry due to both you and your hair trying to navigate this new process it's growing through. Okay, so boom. Now you know you need to moisturize, and that would mean water, right? Well, kind of. I mean, yes, definitely. Of course, water is the alpha and omega when it comes to keeping your curls happy and healthy. But real moisture comes from a combination of different efforts that, from first glance, may not even seem related to moisture. Making sure you keep your hands out of your hair, aren't overstyling, using satin scarves, bonnets, or pillowcases, not shampooing too often, using protein treatments when necessary, and cleansing your scalp once or twice a month are all things that will either help keep moisture in your curls or allow for your moisture to be more readily absorbed. Besides these practices, proper moisturization also includes deep conditioning, pre-pooing, hot oiling, and hair routines that seal your moisture into your hair. For natural hair, this typically includes layering on products like leave-in conditioner, oil, or cream in whichever order works best for your curls. But with transitioning hair being a bit more finicky, you may find that using a combo of only 2 or even just one of these products works best for keeping your hair moisturized, but also preventing it from weighing down your relaxed ends with too much product. But no matter how many of these or even which products you choose to use, you want to be sure any ones you do decide to go with are water-based regardless of what brand they are. Because remember, water is both the beginning and the end when it comes to getting this whole moisture thing down. So the products you use need to be aligned with this as well. Now, with water-based being the only truly necessary factor, this leaves you open to a world of potential products, which is probably great for your pockets, but not for your patience. So, here to help narrow things down for you just a little bit is tip number 2, use products and tools for natural hair. Yep, even though you're only transitioning, you don't want to keep using the same shampoo, conditioner, gel, or even combs that you did when you were relaxed, because it's more likely these products will contain harmful chemicals or just be otherwise drying or damaging to your new growth. Not to mention that your natural tresses are the portion that you're really trying to take care of anyway. So if you get into the habit of using products and tools that cater to this texture now, you'll be much more prepared once you do let all of your relaxed ends go. This is a little bit easier said than done, since it will undoubtedly take a healthy effort on your part to find products you feel work well for both textures. You may go through a few brands and mental breakdowns before achieving that perfect moisture blend ratio, but keep in mind that even if your ends aren't fully cooperating, you'll be seeing breakage from them throughout your journey anyway, so just stay as focused as you can on keeping your new little curls happy. Now, I know you're probably waiting to hear specific product recommendations that are sworn to make this process a breeze. But instead of suggesting a few creams or leave-in conditioners that could be a hit or miss due to how iffy hair in this state is, I feel it'd be more beneficial to give you these two general guidelines you can follow in choosing your own products to try. And hopefully, in following these, you also begin to create a confidence in trying out different products on your own and build a personal understanding of your hair to see what works and what doesn't. Two very important qualities to have in order to become a successful naturalista. So, that being said, as we already know from tip number 1, whatever products you try need to be water-based, and if you follow tip number 2, you should be good to go in that area, as most natural hair products are. Now, getting into the guidelines, they're actually pretty simple. If you're likely to have a looser curl pattern, aka type 3 hair, when fully natural, or are between 0 to 4 to 5-ish months in your transition, you should try lighter products like moisturizing spritzes and liquid leave-in conditioners with a light amount of cream-based products. Whereas, if you are more likely to have a tighter curl pattern, aka type 4 hair, or are over 4 to 5-ish months into your transition, you may find that heavier products like creamy leave-in conditioners, butters, and creams work better instead. Now again, you will find that your natural hair and relaxed ends have vastly different needs when it comes to how much product should be used and even which ones they like. So it honestly wouldn't really hurt to have a mix of these product types around. But remember, if all else fails, your little curls are what you really want to flourish, so it is their health that takes priority. Which also means that no matter how stubborn your hair is being, how much things aren't working out, or how bad you really want to, you absolutely must abide by tip number 3, no flaming sticks of death. A great tip for transitioners, naturals, and relaxed alike. This tip is much more strict for transitioners though, as you're more likely to damage your hair the most because you're trying to blend your new growth with your relaxed ends. Of course, this also works completely against the goal of healthy, happy curls you're trying to achieve, because any direct heat you apply in order to straighten your pattern will hurt your progress. How? Let me explain the cycle. It'll start with your hair becoming even more dry than transitioning hair already is, and eventually unresponsive to the good moisturizing natural hair products you were using to see the growth that you did. This will only frustrate you and make you want to straighten your hair more often, which will lead to you causing more heat damage to your already fragile new growth and produce even more breakage than you'll already be seeing. Not to mention, you'll be further frying your already crispy and thinning relaxed ends, leaving you with an even bigger mess to attempt to blend without heat, and likely ruining any long-term transitioning plans you may have had in mind. So from here, assuming you're likely frustrated and discouraged, you will either A, continue to use heat to blend your textures, B, go back to relaxers, or C, have to work even harder in your transition because you will now have to deal with 3 textures: the relaxed, the heat damaged, and the new growth. Yes, my friends, that is the woeful tale of the transitioner who could not let go of the flaming sticks of death and was eventually consumed by the appeal of its flames. But this doesn't have to be you. And I'm assuming that because you're watching this video, you don't want it to be. So, be patient and take the time to learn and invest in other ways to blend and care for your hair. However, even in doing this, You want to also be wary of tip number 4. Don't rely solely on braids, wigs, or weaves either. Now, before you jump down my throat on this one, hear me out. I'm not saying don't wear these styles at all. They can and definitely should be used while transitioning to give yourself a little break and so you can switch things up and enjoy some different styles while letting your hair grow. But what I am saying is don't become completely reliant on these styles because you'll be doing yourself the huge disservice of not truly getting to know and learning your hair the way you would be able to without these installations. Of course, I suppose this would really only matter if I'm to assume you're going natural because you want to wear your real hair more than you do these styles. But even if this wasn't your plan, it's still important to let your hair breathe, especially while transitioning, due to how fragile your hair is while in this state. Knowing how to take care of your hair between and during installations are just as important too, because again, you're not trying to cause more breakage than you'll already be seeing. So, if you do still decide to go with protective styling more often than not, be sure that you either switch up your styles or get routine maintenance done every 2 to 3 weeks while monitoring and caring for your transitioning tresses underneath. Now, on the other hand, if you do want to learn to care for your hair more than you tuck it away, now is the perfect time to start because you've just begun your free trial run of what being natural is like. What do I mean? Well, when you transition, you're not fully natural, and you start off with little new growth in comparison to your relaxed ends, so you're not exactly all in hair-wise yet. Which means you also won't get the full natural hair benefits when it comes to how much volume you have, the way your styles come out, and being able to see your true curl pattern. But you are able to change your mind at any time, no harm, no foul, unlike our commitment-heavy friends who chose to big chop. So while this phase may not be exactly what you wanted, few free trial runs are. In order to make the most of it and determine if the full product is what you want, now is the perfect opportunity to start learning your hair and building at least a temporary transitioning routine. This means trying out natural hair products, lots of tip number 1, and learning new ways to style your hair. All processes you may not be able to do as effectively with heavy reliance on braids, weaves, and wigs. And as you should now have a better understanding of where to start when it comes to products and all the efforts involved when it comes to moisturizing, this brings us to the third mentioned process and tip number 5, finding your new go-to styles that blend your textures. Another tip you can't fully conquer with added hair constantly in your own. Once you find your go-to texture blending style, it'll be great to use anytime, but especially when you've been dealing with some bad hair days. You also may end up finding yourself pleasantly surprised at how being skilled at blending your hair with even one style will work wonders for keeping you motivated and on track when you're feeling your most frustrated. That being said, some great potential beautiful natural go-to styles for you to try are twist outs, braid outs, curl formers, flexi rods, perm rod sets, straw sets, and comb coils. If you're diligent in continuously trying and improving upon any number of these various styles, you'll likely find that you become fairly skilled at least 2 to 3 different ones. But even if you don't, and you only end up having one great go-to, one is a whole lot better than none. An occasional usage of wigs, weaves, or braids can help you to spruce things up. Along with incorporating tip number 6, using headbands and head wraps. Besides being perfect for jazzing up any style mentioned in tip number 5, headbands are also great for hiding small amounts of not so well blended new growth to help create a more seamless look in your more early transitioning stages. Essentially, headbands' older, more complicated sister, head wraps, on the other hand, are adept at hiding any amount of new growth and even a great cover-up for bad hair days of fully naturals and relaxed alike. Being that they're also wildly effective at hiding away your hair should you want to leave it in some simple braids or twists while it works its growth magic underneath, these wrappings provide you with yet another option for quick long-term styling that doesn't involve the potential stress of using added hair. Now, I know that this tip and all the others I've just mentioned probably seem like a lot of do's and don'ts and a bunch of things you need to learn and unlearn in order to have the smoothest transition possible. But that's why this next tip-top tip is so important. Number 7, be patient. A great virtue for all human beings, the need for patience really comes to the forefront when you're an exasperated transitioner. Being that you haven't fully let go of your relaxed ends yet, you're quite literally at the very beginning, if not even somewhere before that, in your natural hair journey. So take a deep breath and buckle yourself in for the bumpy transitioning ride. One upside of this trip, this ride can literally be as long or as short as you want. But no matter how long you decide to stay on board, there are no fast ways or shortcuts to growth, blending textures, or any of the other hurdles that come with this territory. So instead of focusing on how far away you are from your next goal or how long this whole process is taking, do yourself and your strands a favor and love the stage that you're in. By doing this, you'll very lovingly be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because not only will it work wonders for your patience, but also cause you to handle your hair more gently, which will cut down on breakage and help both promote and retain any growth you'll be seeing. And while you're doing your absolute best to remain patient during these undoubtedly trying transitioning times, this is a great opportunity to work on another tip that will require just as much time for you to start seeing the results. Tip number 8, be healthy. Something you should ideally be trying to achieve anyway, but we won't get into that. Good health is the foundation of most amazing achievements, and the growth of your head hair would be no different. Being that it does grow directly out of your scalp, the natural strength, luster, and overall resilience of your hair can usually be a pretty good indicator of the health of the head it's growing out of. So it would do you and your strands great justice for you to be as discerning with what you put in your body as you do with what goes on your hair. Having nutrient and oxygen-rich blood is one of the best growth serums your transitioning curls could ask for, and one of the most effective ways to prevent excessive breakage, as your new growth will be coming in fortified with the strength of all that goodness it received from your blood. Now, as I'm sure you're fully aware, exercising, eating right, and making sure you stay hydrated are the holy trinity to picture-perfect health. But if you are looking for an easier, quicker fix, at least as far as certain nutrients are concerned, taking a biotin supplement can be just what the doctor ordered when it comes to promoting growth from the inside out. And it will also gift you with healthier skin and nails to go along with your new growth too. Throughout all of this patience, being healthy, and trying your hardest to follow the other 6 tips, should you find yourself wanting another growth boost or just struggling to replenish some extra breakage you've been seeing, here's tip-top tip number 9. Massage your scalp with Jamaican black castor oil. Being beneficial alone for the increased blood circulation they foster, scalp massages are the perfect opportunity to incorporate an oil to reap all the benefits it has to offer while your scalp is primed to receive them. Any oil you'd like to use during this time should work just fine, but the one I recommend to get the growth boost I know you're looking for is Jamaican black castor oil. This oil has been closely linked to hair growth and has the testimony of dozens of naturalistas, including myself, to back it up. Whether you're experiencing unexplained thinning, balding, even breakage on any part of your head, including your edges, consistent massaging of your scalp or the affected areas with this oil will usually promote growth. And not just any type of growth. The omega-6 and omega-9 fatty acids it contains will both nourish your scalp and strengthen your roots, creating the perfect combination for stronger, healthier strands. This is also great for bolstering thin and easily breakable hair with a bit more oomph, which is exactly what your transitioning curls would need. And lastly, after reaching an amount of new growth that you're happy with from all 9 of these tips combined, you'll be ready to begin the final of these tip-top tips. Number 10, trimming your ends at a rate you're comfortable with. If we're being completely transparent here, if you made the decision to transition instead of big chopping to start your natural hair journey, you did so because you wanted to hold on to the length you do have for just a little while longer. Whatever the guiding reason is behind you wanting to do so doesn't matter. All transitioners are unified by this one undeniable fact. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. But if you do truly intend to go natural, you will have to cut or start cutting your relaxed ends sometime. Whether that's after 1 month, 3 months, 10 months, or 2 years, there's no time limit, being that it's your journey and experience. But at some point, this defining deed must be done. Even if it just ends up being a light dusting of barely there relaxed ends because you transitioned for that long. Keep in mind that the more new growth you have, the more creative you'll have to become with blending your textures, and that you won't be able to see your true curl pattern or have your curls completely flourish until the weight of those relaxed ends have been lifted from their shoulder. But again, this is your natural hair journey, and transitioning is just the tip of the iceberg. So forge ahead as you please, learning more about your curls and yourself every step of the way. You've got this. As long as you trust yourself, the consistency of the process, and use these tips for guidance when you feel it's necessary, you'll be better prepared to tackle all that transitioning has to throw at you and come out of this a more confident curly because of it. Now I want to hear from you. Are you currently transitioning or thinking about starting the process? If you're in the thick of it, what tips do you have to offer? And do you feel any of the tips mentioned in this video will work for you? And if you're thinking about getting started, what's holding you back from doing so? Leave your answers, tips, tricks, and experiences in the comment box below, and I'll respond to as many of you as I can. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button if you liked it. Hit it even if you didn't. Leave your comments down in the comment box below, and make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.